The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Friday in the Rev, and what is it, 56,000 pages of discovery just on the marijuana stuff?
74,000.
Is that's including the 18,000 for the chief of staff. So this morning on the radio, I think they said 56,000 on Jazel and 18,000
On Jen Andrade.
On Jen Andrade.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's a total, but we're talking about the mayor, 56,000. That's not on the entire case. That's just on the marijuana.
That's just on the marijuana. That's it.
So can you say, Fez, bye-bye?
But I'm innocent.
Can you say, let's make a deal? Because now so there are superseding indictments. They're going on December 9th.
Yeah, they're going to be seeking to get an extension on the trial date.
Yeah.
So he probably won't be going to court in February.
Yeah, well, he'll be making a plea, 56,000 pages. Human error, blame for missing absentee ballots. Well, again, human error. Road work, despite problems, revisited. Not scrapping streetscapes, spend more of our money, put it in the toilet. But let's get down to the real business at hand. If you want to comment on that, fine. But Cathy Ann wrote a letter, which you responded to and then were blocked, unceremoniously, I may add, unceremoniously blocked.
A lot of people have been blocked by her.
And so...
She says that if you want to make comments on her page, you need to be civil and professional. Which I was.
Which means don't disagree with her.
Maybe.
You were civil and professional, but their definition is. So it said, she starts out, because she is the master of pandering and manipulating fact. And I'm going to go over this. So this is the way this started. And I'm assuming this is exactly who it is. I have it on my. It's on my phone, but the thing's so small on my phone. I don't like.
That's word.
I don't work in a swamp. The theme I hear constantly from my opponents is drain the swamp. I'm offended by myself and hardworking people. Okay, let me clarify this. Maybe your opponents consider everything that's got to do with government a swamp. Most people don't. When we refer to a swamp, at least when I refer to a swamp, and I'll let CJ give you his definition. I'm talking about the swamp created by political hacks, political appointees, and politicians who got their head stuffed so far into the trough that they have to breathe through their anal sphincter. That's the swamp that's been created by government. I worked in a city for 38 years. I helped other unions, walked picket lines with other unions. I've seen people who gave their all for this city for low wages, who were making virtually only a few $1,000s over what you people got, you political appointees, you swamp dwellers, you swamp creators, got for a stipend. So I don't want to hear this. This is political campaign rhetoric. You want to give me your definition of a swamp, CJ, please?
Said it quite clearly what a swamp is. I mean, we're talking about politicians who make sure that their votes and their actions always benefit them, their friends, and their contributors. We've seen this with Jazel Correa. We've seen this with the State House. Look at what the state representatives did. They voted themselves a pay raise, so they're all getting over $100,000 a year. How is that benefiting me as a constituent? How is that benefiting me? they're supposed to be representing me and doing things that represent me and also benefit me as a taxpayer. And benefiting me as a taxpayer is not jacking up my water bill to $400 a quarter.
Well, you're right.
And keeping people in those jobs that when they screw up, you're told, keep your head down, people will forget. And that's not the way it's supposed to be.
But some peon who's working for 24 grand a year, and Mary Sahadi gets a $40,000 pay raise, so 1.5 times what she got for a pay raise, not a pay raise. And Cathy Ann got $20,000, which is only a few thousand less than people who've been working in City Hall for decades and working hard. And I know that, and I've helped them. So let's set the record straight, because, I'm not running for political office. I'm not an opponent. But here we speak straight talk. We speak the truth. And frankly, I'll hold any politician that I feel is misrepresenting fact or in plain talk, straight talk, flat out lying about the case. So let me begin first with the first assertion that she saved $15 million in health care. And I'm going to state something that a lot of people don't remember. But I will bring in anybody you want to prove it. The only reason we're saving $15 million is because of the cost shift to the employee, but also because we stayed with Blue Cross. Had we gone to the GIC, as Cathy Ann and Will Flanagan wanted to go, we would have been taking a bath. The employees would have been taking even a bigger bath. They would have been paying triple for their prescription drugs over plan modeling. So let me tell you about that, the real story. And you can go back into the archives and check it. And I'll get the chairman of the Insurance Advisory Committee and everybody on that committee on here to testify. So I want to hear you dispel this. This is a fact. Every single labor union in the city of Fall River caved. They were going to allow this city to go to the GIC without the fight. They croaked. We were going to the GIC on the Red Line Express. I went before the city council and made a presentation about how wrong that decision was. 11:30 at night, I got a call from then Mayor Will Flanagan saying, "Oh, will you come in tomorrow and go over that presentation with us?" And I did. I went to the City Hall, and I'm not saying this for fanfare, but it's a fact. So now I feel obligated. Because these are the kind of things that go on behind the scenes that nobody knows about. And I met with Mayor Flanagan and Cathy Ann, both of whom wanted to go to the GIC. As a matter of fact, it was so entrenched in their mind that Will Flanagan, only a few months ago, talked about how much money he saved by going to the GIC. He even forgot that he didn't go to the GIC. And after I explained why plan modeling was better, we stayed with what we've got. So for her taking credit for saving money and doing all these things with the plan is absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit. That's not the way it happened. She didn't even have her figures right because she didn't even consider plan modeling until after I made that presentation. They were prepared, the 11th hour, number one. And then she talks about the hardworking people, and nobody knows the hardworking people more than I do because I help those hardworking people all the time. I help them with their contracts. I give them any information. I help them and always have and always will. I'm going to tell you the the way they help people. And I'm going to give you a case, and I have permission from the individual to mention her name. Her name was Tracy Wright. Her name is Tracy Wright. She worked in a government center for 24 years. She wasn't even making $30,000, I believe, but I don't know her exact pay, but she was making nothing. And I'm not going to violate any HEPA regulations and discuss medical issues, but she had serious, life-threatening, life-altering medical condition. She found one of the top people that could fix her, and not quickly either, with numerous operations, but he wasn't in Massachusetts. He was in New York, so he wasn't covered. She attempted to get reciprocal coverage for it. You know what the city said, Cathy Ann and the mayor? I sat in a room, and I'll bring her on this show. They said, no, we're not going to do it. We might be liable. It might cost us more. You can just go to Mass General. Here's an individual who worked hard, not only in the government center for 24 years, but also was involved in the union, involved in the insurance advisory committee, and went above and beyond her normal duties. Bottom line is, we went in and had a meeting. They threw her under the bus. You know what they told her? Beat it. Go to pay it out of your pocket, pay the difference out of network, do whatever you want, hit the pavement. She ran out of sick leave. She ran out of vacation time. They were going to stop her pay. After 24 years of service to this city, she was forced to take a retirement because she didn't have any money coming in to pay her bills and to keep and pay her medical premium anymore. She had to retire. And Councilor Linda Pereira and the rest of the city council actually gave her a commendation for her service because Councilor Pereira was well aware of the medical condition because it was discussed with her and some of the other councilors. She's now living at the Cape with her mother on a very small income. She's still going through surgeries. But you know what happened? They threw her under the bus. They used her for a wheel chock. But I told her to continue to appeal. And to her credit, she's a tough lady. A tough lady. She persevered in spite of all the odds being stacked against her. And guess what? She won her appeal. And she got her surgery, and it was covered. You think the city would not go the extra mile for somebody like that? No. They threw her under the bus. They didn't even go the extra inch for her. And if anybody wants to dispute that, I will get Joe Castro, the chairman, and her, and sit him in a chair right here. And I defy anybody to say that didn't happen, that she had to appeal. And it was all about money. I don't want to hear the bullshit. It was about this, it was about that. If she could do it on her own, the city with all its resources could have done it quicker, faster, and she could have kept her job and not had to take an early retirement. So, you know, when I see this letter, okay, that's what I think it is. This is more BS for political reasons. Just like the numbers, just like when you went in front of the council and said that we didn't win a lawsuit against the city in '91, that it was us paying down our trust fund when it wasn't, and I corrected that. So you know something, frankly, I'm sick and tired of it. This is a swamp. When people get away with going in front of the council, not having the figures correctly, with everything out of their mouth is, I'll get back to you on that. I don't have the numbers when you're getting paid to have the numbers. When you've made numerous errors, and then you come back on, and I don't care, you're stop taking credit for anything. You didn't build a school, you did virtually none of the heavy lifting. You were there at the end looking at the numbers and making sure that you couldn't save another penny. The people who did all the work were the people from HR, Madeline Coelho, the people from Gallagher, it's now Gallagher, it used to be a different name, but the people who did all the work on this thing were not you. So look, politicians love to take credit for everything they did, but this really pisses me off. Don't be disingenuous. You don't care a damn thing about the hard-working people in the city of Fall River's government center or anywhere else. Because if you did, you wouldn't have got rid of the DPW workers. You'd give those people who are making under $30,000 and been working there for 25 or 30 years what you got for a stipend. So you think I'm mad? You're damn right I am. All right, CJ, your turn.
Tell me how you really feel. Tell me how you really feel. I had to bring this letter in, and it was posted yesterday at 8:25 in the morning, which I'm grateful for. Hopefully she wasn't working, because there's a big question on, is she campaigning on city time and whatnot? And I really could care less. The other big debate is she a true candidate? Just because she's a write-in candidate, does it make her a true candidate? Does not make her a true candidate? She's complaining about not having equal time on local radio and television, and that's okay. So, if the radio station doesn't want to consider you, a candidate, and they don't want to give you equal time, they can't have it both ways. They can't say you're not a candidate and not allow you to talk on the radio, or not give you equal time. So if they're a candidate, they get equal time. If they're not a candidate, they can talk on the radio. Either way, you've got to do something. You can't have your cake and eat it too. And that's a big problem.
Yeah.
As for this swamp comment, I was appalled by it, personally. Because you know what? Fall River is a swamp. In more ways than one. In more ways than one. You've got how many people? I mean, most recently, a department head who retired, who dropped the ball on getting a grant and stuck us with hundreds of millions of dollars in debt.
Yep.
And did they fire him? Did they call him out on it? Did they do any of that? No, because he put his head down and he kept his mouth shut.
And you got the guy who actually filled out a fraudulent overtime form and charged it to another entity, another
project or something. Yeah.
Into the school department. It was a city-side overtime. He fraudulently created and he went in front of the council and admitted it.
Right.
And what did our council do? The same thing they did for Steve Camara, still sitting in a chair. The same thing they did to Jazel Correa, violating state statute by being paid.
Right.
And the same thing they do all the time, which is a big fat nothing.
And
if you don't think that's a swamp, you're right. It's not a swamp. I agree. I allow that characterization because that's you basically used nationally. Because as far as I'm concerned, if I had to name it, I wouldn't have named it a swamp. I would have named it a cesspool.
Exactly. I was going to go there. And, the worst part about it is, we bring these things up all the time, and people are still going to vote for these clowns. They're going to vote for the same city council. They're going to vote for the same school committee. And, in some cases, they have to, because guess what? If they don't vote for any incumbent city councilor, every single candidate for first-time election would gain office. Would that be so bad? I don't know. You got people who say, oh, you got to have a couple of people from the old guard because they know how it's run. No, you don't. They haven't run it that well as it is. So why do you want to keep the old mess? That's why we have the same problems. You keep the same mess. And keeping the same mess doesn't solve anything for the people of Fall River. We need to be able to hold them accountable and say, this is the way it is. Not having people who are out there doing the elbow rubs and the back rubs and oh, it's a great time, and oh, you're such a wonderful person, shake my hand. Oh, I love you so much. I'm going to advertise your book, and I'm going to be standing there with you, and it's going to be my political event to talk to the author and the consultants on the book and da-da-da. You know, I don't care about the book. I don't care. I want to know what you're doing for me. I want to know what you're doing for you know, the people in Fall River. One of the biggest mistakes I think people make, and I think even some of the employees and retirees make it, is they go around and, you know, I heard it recently on the radio that, and actually I believe it was Will Flanagan who said it, even after he said that he saved money on the GIC, he said Fall River still has Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is true. Blue Cross Blue Shield is still the, I want to say the mediator, because they take the bills and send them to Fall River to pay.
That's right. We are a self-insurer.
Right.
That's right, exactly.
So Blue Cross Blue Shield has nothing to do except to process the bills, okay? And they help design what benefit package the city's going to give people. That's all it is. A lot of people can do that. They just happen to choose Blue Cross Blue Shield because it's the best option. It's the best working system that they have. Because they didn't want to go to, you know, HMO Blue. They didn't want to go to Tufts. They didn't want to go to Harvard Pilgrim. They wanted something that they could count on.
We wanted the plan modeling because the prescription drugs are something that everybody utilizes. Okay. Young people with children use, obviously their children get sick, they get sick. Not as much, they're young, they're healthy, but their children do. So young people, old people, prescription drugs, and one of the big factors with the GIC was that their prescription drugs were astronomical. We could, in plan modeling, manipulate the system to hold down prescription drugs as much as we could. And the reality of that is that was intentional. That was the reason. And as you said, they're only an administrator, but regardless of who we had, it was better than the GIC. And Will Flanagan, by the way, said he saved it and it was only after he was corrected that he said, oh, we still have Blue Cross. Because when he said it on the air, he didn't revise it. He said, you know, I saved a lot of money on the GIC, which shows they don't care. They just move on. All they care about, that's why it's a cesspool. You know, and that's the other thing. It'll segue us into one of their other cons during this election. We don't want the good old boy network to come out. Well, guess what? You don't want the good old boy? You got the good new boys network. So what's the difference? There's no difference, because guess what? If Jazel stayed in for 12 years, the good new boy network he's created now would then become the good old boy network.
That's right.
So that's not the point here, people. The point is, don't believe this con, this spin that they use during elections. Good old boy, new old boy. The key is old boy network. The key is you shouldn't have people committing fraud and keeping their jobs with no accountability and walking up back into the gallery out of the well and being told, don't worry about it. Keep your head down, keep your mouth shut. Everybody will forget about it in another couple of weeks. They'll be on to the next thing. And you're going to get a job, a pay raise, and a stipend. That's the problem. That's the swamp. That's the cesspool. And, you know, this other con that the zombies use, well, you know, people have done worse. People, you know, well, Cathy Ann's not the only one that got lower taxes. Well, nobody should. But she should have picked it up because it's her fiduciary job. She keeps telling you how good she is with numbers, but she can't figure that number out, right? Matter of fact, I got a call this morning from somebody that drove by her house. He was outraged. He said, I can't believe that she's paying that on that. I live in something that's not 1/3 as good, and I pay more than she does.
Right.
Well, that's the problem. That's the problem. Two wrongs do not make a right. Two wrongs are two wrongs. That's like saying, just think about what they're trying, and they actually get on the radio and they say things like this on Facebook. So I guess, and I think I said this before, I guess if you go out and you murder 4 people, all your friends and your lawyer will go to court and say, listen, Your Honor, there are people who killed a lot more people than my client. So what the hell? Let them go. That's absurd. That's absolutely ludicrous. I mean, that is beyond convoluted. Who could believe that? That's like when you catch your kid with his hand in a cookie jar. What does he say? Mary took some too. She stole more than I did. It's not the point, people. Good old boy, new old boy is the key. Honest, transparent government. Government with integrity. And who is responsible for keeping that government honest and that their dealings show character and integrity? We are at the polls. And when we have bad government, it's our fault. Because we didn't put the right people there, and it's up to us to get rid of them. And that's been one of the inherent problems of Fall River. Low voter turnout, malaise, nobody cares. Everybody uses the other con excuse. Oh, there's nothing I can do about it. You know, they're in, they got the money, they got the power. You got the power. You got the power to vote. Used to be the X, now it's the dot. There's your power. The dot you put in. The dot you make in November will be the dot that can change the face of the city.
It's interesting because I just got a text message saying, no, but 2 wrongs make a chow mein sandwich.
Yeah. Two wrongs. Yeah. Well, and if you don't, and then if it's a really tough election, you get a chow mein sandwich and a ham and bean supper.
That's right.
So.
Because I know that one of the city council candidates, I guess it was yesterday, or the day before, was turning out chow mein sandwiches to people, and it wasn't Leo Pelletier. Leo Pelletier's chow mein sandwich dinner is coming up sometime.
Yeah, but remember, Leo's is Leo's famous chow mein.
Yeah, famous. I don't find it famous. So.
But no, look, you know, look, I know politics. We know politicians tend to take credit. But look, if you're in the room, at least give a little bit of credit to the people who actually did the heavy lifting. I mean, you know, you want to take credit for saving money. You didn't. You probably had the least amount to do with it. But guess what? If you just said, well, I was part of that, and I, you know, blah, 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 I probably could have taken it with a grain of salt. But when you take absolute credit for everything good that takes place in the city, and in reality, you had it. But you know what upsets me even more? And I'll close my comments on this show with this. When I see people, and I've seen a lot more, but the story I recounted earlier in the show, when I see people who worked for this city and did their job with integrity, with honesty, like Tracy Wright treated the way she was, it leaves a taste in your mouth that never leaves. So everybody have a good weekend.
Well, after all of this, Chip, I think you'll have a good weekend, that's for sure. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next weekend. I don't know, but maybe we might have some guests. So, kind of late, but hey, better late than never. Hey, have a great weekend, and remember, stay angry.